Just over here, I have had a really cute idea for a video this week, so join me to revisit my childhood homes, the English villages that I grew up in. I just wanted to share some personal stories, like how me and Ollie met and where I grew up, where my favourite childhood memories are, what my childhood homes look like. I just thought it could be a really nice trip down memory lane together in this very pretty part of England. So yeah, and I also thought it would be like, because I'm doing all my moving vlogs recently, yeah, I thought we could just have a nice personal, quaint day together, and I'll show you around. It's myself and my nan that will be giving you the tour, so as long as no one stood outside of my old home, then I'll be able to film them. I absolutely love this drive, and it's so beautiful in the spring. I remember looking forward to doing this when I first passed my test, and it's just gorgeous when all the trees are out. So the house on the left is where my wonderful neighbour Mavis lived, who sadly passed away last year. Rest in peace, lovely Mavis. And then on the right is the house that my dad lived in when I was growing up. So the bit to the left is actually an extension. It used to be these outbuildings, and then out the back you've got amazing field, countryside views, and sometimes there were cows there, which we just thought was so fun. I remember doing this stroll with my nan and granddad once, and this lady was walking about 10 greyhounds, and I had a huge fear of dogs, and I've never jumped so high in my life to get away from them. My granddad was just holding me as high up in the air as he possibly could. I'm so glad I got over the fear of dogs, because it wasn't a very easy fear to have, and when you're lower to the ground they are much more intimidating, I think. I believe this section is the old stables for the manor house that have been turned into these lovely houses. The wisteria is just amazing, and it makes it look quite Bridgerton-esque to me. I actually looked about 2 years ago, and they are so expensive. They're 2 beds and terraced, and it was 400 and something thousand pounds, and that was a few years ago. Just over here where those gates are, lockdown was just ending, and I'd booked for my nan's birthday, which I mentioned in my last video, for the whole family to go to Loo, which is where my nan used to go with her parents when she was little on holiday, and that holiday was what sparked my love, well, me wanting to move to Cornwall, because I loved being there so much and the memories. So yeah, I really love coming here and remembering that moment. She was so happy, it was a surprise, and she was so pleased. When I was younger and my mum and dad had split up when I was quite young, so he stayed living in Bletchington, and then my grandparents moved to another village, and my dad used to let us just roam around wherever we wanted. We always would come to this bit and the park, but oh, what a lovely view. I love that view. Now this bit is where my nan and granddad lived. It wasn't for a very long time, but we actually lived in this bungalow as well, me and my 2 sisters, because my other sisters weren't born yet. Oh, I just pulled something in my bum and my hip that really hurt. In that bungalow, it had the most lovely garden. It was a really lovely garden that went out from the kitchen and the dining room. A very dreamy type of 2000s film that you'd imagine it from, but it looks very small from the front. It was quite small, but I don't remember it that well because I was only young. That was the bus stop that my nan used to take us to when we were going into Oxford. When we were little, and we'd go to Debenhams and we'd have macaroni and cheese, chips and peas, and it was absolutely delicious, and we miss it all the time. When we got back, my nan actually had the photos of when they were selling the bungalow, so I thought I would show you. The garden photo doesn't do it justice, but it really was fab when you were there. And it was nice to see these photos because there's quite a lot of furniture that they've kept, like the table, the iconic table. And it was nice to see my granddad's car back in the day as well, because that's the kind of detail I can't remember as well. And then when I come back, I never ever get cooked for, other than when I come back to see my nan, and my mum also does. When I come back, gives me dinner. But I've got an apple crumble with cream. Delish. And we've just been watching the Interior Design Masters. I don't know if anyone likes it. It's on the BBC and it only started last week, and it's got Alan Carr in it. They did a castle this week. Sometimes it's a bit boring because they're always on a budget and things look a bit cheap, I find. I don't know if that's mean to say. But some of the rooms were really good in this episode. Like, there were some really lovely romantic rooms. For any of you that remember Balamory or had children or grandchildren in the 2000s and used to watch it, they have actually filmed a new series. It's perfect timing, because I actually went to Tobermory for my birthday last year. Hello, I'm speaking to you from a new car. Went up to Oxford from Cornwall. We had an unfortunate situation where the car we were using, we were borrowing it from a friend, it completely packed up. We had to turn off the motorway and it just stopped working at 10:30 at night. We ended up getting a £160 Uber from Burnham-on-Sea to Oxford. We didn't get in till 1:30. It was quite stressful. I feel absolutely shattered from that ordeal, but I didn't want to talk about this until I'd shown you my lovely childhood home bits. I was trying to enjoy my time with my family and not dwell on it too much, but then today it was just hard to be positive. There's been so much going on. I wanted to update you about the car situation, but we've actually managed to finance one. Back in the house, I thought maybe we could talk about how Ollie and I met. It's kind of like a childhood sweetheart situation, but not entirely. I was going to make a cup of tea to sit down with. It's been an eventful few days, well, week really. Things I can't really talk about yet, but maybe I'll share next week if I can. I'm not sure. There is mould in here. It would have been from the old house, but it's can you see? Maybe I've got this and it's still packaged up, but I don't really know how I feel about drinking from a tea bag that's been stuck in a mouldy, what should be airtight container. Decided to sit in my office. The story of how Ollie and I met was, we went to primary school not in the village I showed you earlier in the video, because when I started school there was one school in that village and it was really small and the classrooms were tiny, so my mum decided against it. So we went to a different school. So that school was bigger, and actually it's the school my mum went to, my dad went to, and then Ollie and I went to. So I know it sounds all a bit small town, but yeah. In the same foundation year at school, before you go into year one. And I'm pretty sure we were in nearly all of the same classes, because typically I think they would just split into two. Like when you were in year 5 and 6, then you might have year 6s and 5s together for certain lessons, so that's when it would be split into two. But typically I knew absolutely everybody in my year at school and was in most classes with most people. Ollie lived at the time like 2 streets away from the school, and I remember I used to go sometimes with my friend, I think it was probably Laura, and we would go to, that he had a little green. So in the village I grew up in that I showed you, there was a green that I used to go to with my sister and my nan, and we would just run around the green, and I would always beat my sister because I was obviously older and had longer legs. But then Ollie also had a green near his house, so really lovely, cute places to grow up, like nice, safe, quite community driven. Where I grew up, I do feel like I was very lucky. I don't think that the village that Ollie and I grew up in is the same as it used to be. I think that they put a train station in, which is great for people getting to and from work, but it's made it an area that people now want to live to commute to London. So the house prices have gone crazy, and it's not as much of a community. When I go back, I don't know people anymore really. Say now it's not as nice a place to grow up as it probably was when I was little, but I would say it was quite a safe place to grow up. You could go quite far on your own. To set the scene, the village I grew up in, I haven't shown you a ton of, but I haven't really shown you in this video because I don't hold it as dear to my heart because I lived there as a young adult as well. It was a nice place to grow up, so sometimes I would go near Ollie's house and like we would play together, but not that often. I remember going to, there was a boy called Nathan in our year, and I was out with my friend Charlotte, and then Ollie was out as well, and we played together. So it was we weren't friends, I wouldn't say we were friends, but then I wasn't friends with any of the boys. We had a lot of time together, but it was random bits, not like I'll meet you here at this time. It was like maybe more group type of stuff. Really just like very casual, we'll be here after school, will you be there? Went to secondary school together for 2 years. We weren't in any of the same classes, I don't think. And then Ollie moved house, which was only a couple of miles down the road, but it was there was a different catchment area for a secondary school and one he could walk to, so he went there, and he had a much better time in that secondary school because he didn't get on well in my secondary school at all. I used to see him around. I remember seeing him at work in Oxford when I was walking back from a 90s night. Rubbish 90s music, it was like Barbie Girl. So I paid my £15 entry there for 10 minutes, and I said to my friend, this is the worst thing I've ever been to. So I left, and then on my way walking back, he was walking with his friends and a boy I went to school with that I was friends with in secondary school, because I did have a couple of boy mates in secondary school. Chat with him then, had a chat with him when he was working in the watch shop, had a chat, well, I kind of made a joke when I walked past him in Blenheim Palace once when he was with his friends and his eyes were looking a bit red. And I was with my mum. Definitely bumped into each other and always had a quick chat. And sometimes I'd message him on LinkedIn because we kind of went down similar career paths. He was in jewellery, I was in jewellery. So yeah, there was a lot of connection. I remember thinking when I was looking on his LinkedIn profile when I was probably 20, and I sent him a message, and I remember thinking, oh, I really hope he replies. Random encounter, I think it was nearly 4 years ago, so I probably was 22 or 23. I was in Sainsbury's with my mum. Now usually this is so lazy of me, but I hated going into Sainsbury's because you would just see everybody that you know. Like you go into the village and you don't see anybody. You go into Sainsbury's and every single person you went to school with is in there. But on this day I said, no, I'll come in with you, let's have a look. I hadn't spotted him, and then he'd spotted me and my mum, and he apparently sprayed his aftershave like that and walked over, and then came and had a chat with us, showed us some bits on his phone, talked about what he'd been up to. So we must have spoke for like 5 minutes. When we were in Sainsbury's, he was showing me like all of these collectible type things he had, like, which little did I know they were going to become a huge annoyance in my life later on. I was at the time doing some work that I never got paid for, to do with antiques. So I said, oh, well, I might be working near you soon, so I'll send you some photos of the shop if it happens. I said I would send photos of the stuff. I did. I followed through with it and I sent him a message. Really, if I hadn't have done that, then I don't think nothing would have happened with us, and we still to this day wouldn't be together, and I probably wouldn't be living in Cornwall. So yeah, then we agreed to meet up. typically I wouldn't just go and meet someone from school, but because I had so much history with Ollie, I just had like a really nice, what I would say was our first date, going around these like stately home gardens, and then he took me to this place. It's in Minster Lovell. I don't know if anyone knows that. It's like these ruins with a little stream, lake thing, river running by it. He played some really like lovely songs that I love, so I knew we had a lot of similar taste in music. That's what I'm trying to say. From that moment onwards, from that first date, we started meeting up like every day and going out to different places around Oxfordshire, because I love the countryside, but because I didn't drive at the time, I would struggle to go and see it all, because you can't get there. So he took me to all these lovely, beautiful places that I just adore. Within like a month, I guess, I think I've met his mum. And then from there, it was like, I think that was in the September. And then by the November, his mum, she's very, very inclusive of me, like from the get-go, always invited me to things. There was nothing I wasn't welcome to, which I do think is really nice. So when I was so early on in our relationship, that I was so involved in everything. And that's how we kind of ended up here. So kind of a long story. But one thing I will say is we were going out in year 6 because Ollie must have asked me if I would be his girlfriend in primary school. It was this one week and he must have asked me about 50 times, and I was getting so angry that he would just kept saying the same thing. So I just said, yeah, okay then. And then I ignored him until he sent someone to tell me that he dumped me, which was so sad. My nan actually remembers me coming out of school, pointing at him and saying how much he was annoying me. Very persistent. I think that's probably it for this video, because I'd really like it to just be a childhood throwback romanticized kind of video, so I don't really think I need to do anything else. And I have a really fun video idea in mind, which is like 24 hours of old-fashioned cooking that I want to do, which I think I might do it on the weekend, because I haven't got any foodings. We only got back last night. Thank you for listening. I feel like this video is only going to appeal to those of you that comment regularly and watch me every Sunday. I guess for everyone else this is probably like, who cares, but it's nice to share it, and a couple of you asked me, so I thought, why not? Have a beautiful, beautiful week.